Hey everyone, it's Terry with the Des Moines Iowa User Group. We had a user group meeting on July 15th, just a few days ago, and in that meeting, we introduced the Des Moines Iowa Tableau User Group. Salesforce recently had acquired Tableau, and that user group is managed under the same umbrella, the same group of people at Salesforce that manages our Salesforce user group and any of the other user groups. I believe even MuleSoft has one. So I wanted to introduce to you Michelle. Michelle is the co-lead of the Tableau user group here in Des Moines, and I wanted to introduce her for two reasons. One, I wanted you to know that you have a resource here locally to tap into if you have questions using Tableau. Also, if you are just interested in Tableau, trying to learn it, maybe curious what its capabilities are, then this is also a great opportunity to get to know that new Salesforce product. Michelle walks us through a variety of different things. I learned an awful lot through in her presentation. I hope you will too. I'll be quiet, let you take a listen.
Well, I do have a PowerPoint, and I have to admit it's the first PowerPoint I've built in PowerPoint in quite a while, because usually I build my presentations in Tableau.
Oh, wow, yes.
So, and that was a pro tip I received from some other Tableau, what we call Zen Masters and Ambassadors, who present a lot, because it allows you to put your demo dashboard that you're doing, plus everything you're presenting and all the links all in one package, and publish to Tableau online, and everybody can get to it. So just kind of a weird thing about Tableau. We love to share stuff on public, but let me get to we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to the PowerPoint first. And here's a little bit about me. Whoa, I forgot about all the things that pop up in Zoom. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. If a question pops up, because I don't have the question window open or the chat window open, flag me down. If you could, someone stop me. But my name is Michelle Kosmicki. I'm a senior marketing data analyst at B2E Data Marketing. They're located in the East Village of Des Moines. And the company, what we do is we help people with their data solutions, as well as marketing. So we do a lot of IP targeting. We do some mail, but we also round that out with bringing you ROI on the back end, as well as some data appends. So we'll enrich your customer data to help you with your targeting, which is kind of fun for me. I like to do that part and dig into it a little bit. Part of my background is I come out of the social sciences into being a data analyst. So of course, talking to people and learning about people and learning about the different segments is always kind of fun for me to do. I'm the Des Moines Tableau User Group co-lead. I lead the group with Kirk Odenjik. He is over at Continental, I believe. So we tag team a little bit on this. We meet about 4 times a year for about an hour to an hour and a half. Since we went virtual, we've kind of cut our meetings a little shorter, but when we do meet in person, we try to make it a little longer, because Des Moines being spread out, people are coming from a long distance. And so we try to give people a little more content and a little more networking time, since we're all in person, which at some point we'll all be in person again, but for right now, we're still all sitting in the Zoom world, which is fun, but it's always more fun to be in person, I think. I have a little bit of my contact information below where you can find me, my Twitter handle, LinkedIn, and I have a Tableau Public profile, which I've had since Tableau Public launched way back in 2010, but I have very few visits on there, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. Enough about me. Let's learn more about Tableau and what we have here. Our Tableau user group here in Des Moines, we cover pretty much the whole state. or we did for a long time, but now there is a group that's in Cedar Rapids, and I believe there's a Quad Cities group as well. So there's a lot of different groups to choose from. You can drop in on any group at any time. And there are also industry groups. So there's a healthcare group. There's also a group that's all about analytics. And there could be anything from marketers to healthcare to sciences, just anybody who does analytics, and Tableau is in that group. And they meet about every 6 to 8 weeks. I go to that one quite a bit. It's about 2 hours long, so it's a longer group, but they usually have some amazing content. They meet at different times of the day because it's a global group, so we try to make sure that anybody around the world who wants to attend live can attend live without being up at 3 o'clock in the morning. But there are those who do that too, so it's kind of fun that way. We have our Twitter handle. I try to broadcast things out on that Twitter channel as much as I can. We have a meetup group, and quite a few people are in there. We have a LinkedIn group. We have our own Tableau public space where all those presentations I make in Tableau get published there. And any of our guests who have a demo dashboard, if they give me permission, I publish that there as well. And the Tableau community is a really important part of Tableau, just like Salesforce has, I believe it's the Trailblazer community is what it's called. The Tableau community is just where you go for everything. We kind of have a presence on Twitter with the hashtag DataFam, but the Tableau community is where all the questions are answered. And we also have our own private user group space there as well. So it's a great way to get to know other people using Tableau, whether you're new, whether you're experienced. It's all about helping people learn to interact with their data, and that's where it starts and that's where it ends. It doesn't matter what your experience is. We all get stumped. We all get questions. And we go to the data fam and we try to get an answer and get help. So if you're not familiar with Tableau, what exactly is Tableau? The mission that the company was born with is the same mission that you see today. We help people see and understand data. And everyone who uses Tableau, that's exactly how it works. My job is to help people see and understand their data, whether it's marketing data, whether I'm creating an ROI, if I'm creating a segmentation model, if I'm just playing around in Tableau Public and making a visualization for fun. The goal is to tell a story with the data and help people understand what they're seeing in that data. Everything at Tableau is built around those 7 words. The software is built around it, the data culture is built around it, and the community is built around it. And data culture is very important with Tableau, not only as the larger group globally, but there's also a big initiative to build data culture within your companies. And even if you're based at a university, in your department at the university, our company, we're a tiny company of 7 people, but data culture lives in our company. That's all we do. But also building in with larger companies, you might be a small team of people embedded in a company using data, but you share that data out and you share those dashboards out to other people in the company. So building a data culture around data knowledge, data visualization, data security, all of that is important as you come together with your data. And it's important at Tableau and how we use Tableau. So what can Tableau do? Using Tableau Prep, which is one of the tools that comes with Tableau, you can clean your data, you can create data models to fit your data viz and reporting needs. They just introduced, and one of the most recent updates, the ability to export into something other than a Tableau file, which is either called a TDE or a hyperfile. But now you can export into a CSV file in case someone needs that data for something other than use in Tableau. Sometimes we'll kick out an extra data file that's used for QC before we pull into a Tableau dashboard or try to build a dashboard, just to make sure all the data is in the right spot where we need it. Having that data model set up from raw data to output is important. Whether you're building a data model for Viz, whether you're sharing data with other people. And I've pulled data out of Salesforce, so knowing what's going into Salesforce and coming out of Salesforce to go into Tableau, those are some of the most complicated data models that I build, and it's probably because I'm using somebody else's setup, and so I'm not super familiar with it. So, but having that data model built first and understanding it really makes the Viz process go a lot easier. And when you go to build your data visualization, you can use Tableau to build all those views and dashboards for reporting. You can explore KPIs. You can make them a little bit animated. And we have data stories, which are actually storyboards. You build your views and you put it in a storyboard, and you can move through the story step by step, which is really helpful if you're reporting to, say, a board who might need to look at your data. It really helps to have that story because it helps walk them through the story of the finances or the story of the funding or just the story of your organization if they're new to the board even. One of the things that people don't realize is that within the Tableau community, we see not only data as a reporting structure or a way to get a story out, but within the Tableau community, especially on Tableau Public, data becomes art. And this is just one example. Mark Reed has quite a few visualizations out there, but he creates some really beautiful things. And this one is on human spaceflight. I put a link in here, and I'm going to give this presentation to Terry so he can share it with all of you. All the links will be live for you then. But each of those lines on the radius around the globe, and that's what we call a radial chart. You can click on probably each one of those, and it'll have something that pops up as to what happened at that point in time, whatever that little bar represents. If you're new to Tableau and you want to learn Tableau, or if you're already using Tableau and want to learn more, there's a lot of different things you can do. Tableau e-learning is the certification pathway, as well as just a way to really learn Tableau from the ground up. There's also information in there, everything from being desktop certified to server certified. There's even learning paths for those of us who try to lead user groups to help us make sure we know what we need to know to be successful as a leader. But there's a lot of different pathways. Some of them are based in how you want to use Tableau. Some are industry based. But every time I go through a learning path, I learn something new because there's so many ways to do things in Tableau that I might be doing it one way, but I'll go through a learning path and learn a completely different way to do the same thing that might apply to a different way that I'm planning a visualization or presenting something, building a dashboard. Tableau Public, where we saw that viz from Mark Reed, the screenshot there, I will give you a brief tour of that here in a minute. And then below that are 4 of kind of the main skill building type projects. Makeover Monday and Workout Wednesday happen every week throughout the year. Makeover Monday is more for the creative side of you, for the artistic side of you. They're usually smaller data files, and it's about telling the story. It's about using imagery. It's about building that viz to represent the data and the message you want to get across. Workout Wednesday is definitely skills based, and it is the harder one of the two. If I want to challenge my skills, I jump into Workout Wednesday, and it'll usually take me more than one day to figure out what they're doing. They're really, really difficult challenges, some of them, but you come out the other end and you've learned something and you've upped your skills definitely with what's been presented to you. Sports Viz Sunday is kind of a fun one. You get different sports data files. I believe it's monthly and not weekly, but there's some people who are very much into soccer or football or basketball, and they're updating their vizes every week with the most recent data. So that's a fun one too. There's some really fun sports vizes out there. And then Iron Viz is our annual competition for Tableau. There are, I think, 3 different qualifiers that you can go through to enter into the Iron Viz competition. And then through those 3 qualifiers, they pick the top 3 challengers for the Iron Viz title for the year. And you literally go head to head for 20 minutes and build a Viz in front of all of us staring at you through Zoom this past year. But usually it's on stage with an audience of 18 to 20,000 Tableau people staring at you from the audience, cheering you on. And while I say you build it in 20 minutes, they do spend about 2 weeks prior to that. They get a Tableau sous chef that kind of assists them in planning how to build their Viz in 20 minutes, looking at the data set, deciding what story they want to tell. And the sous chef is more like a coach. So they are coaching you through it, helping you have good data strategy, good data models, making sure your Viz that you're planning your Viz in a way that's efficient so you can get all the code and everything in 20 minutes and get that Viz finished. And we have had instances where somebody built their Viz and accidentally deleted it and had to start over during the competition. And they happened to win that year. They built that thing twice in 20 minutes. It was really awesome and exciting. But it's a fun competition to watch. Most of the user group meetings and even the Iron Viz competition, which happens at Tableau, a lot of those sessions will be on Tableau's YouTube channel. So you can go there and search around and find anything that you need there. Okay. Tableau also has a developer program. I know Salesforce has one as well. And the whole goal is to build apps to use with Tableau, but it's also about building data connections. So you can build custom web data connections, which is what got me into the developer program initially. I'm not as active in it as I'd like to be because I'm busy building dashboards, but there's a lot of things that you can do within Tableau to make Tableau work better for your organization, to customize it a little bit, or to build extensions that other people can use in their Tableau dashboards. Our mascot is the T-Rex, and part of that came from the extension has T-R-E-X on the end of it, so Trex and Trex Flex. And every year at the Data Dev conference, our T-Rex Flex is in a different yoga position. So this is our position for this year. So it's kind of fun to have little Trex out there with us being our mascot. And I think it's the only one Tableau has. I think it's the only mascot. So we have to catch up with our Salesforce friends. Although Einstein is sticking his toes over into Tableau, so maybe we'll adopt Einstein as part of our culture too. Einstein is something that can connect to Tableau, but you primarily have to be a Salesforce user in order to use Einstein with Tableau. but I believe there's an extra add-on that you can buy if you're not a Salesforce user to connect with your Tableau use. So it's available. We're excited about it. I wish I could get my hands on it because what I've seen from demos and from people who are actually using it is amazing. It's amazing to use with your data and with your visualization process. So someday, hopefully, we can have it at our organization. And with that, I'm going to hop into a demo. I'm breaking my rules here. I usually never, ever do live demos because anything can happen during a demo. But I'm hardwired into my router, so hopefully I don't have an internet issue. But I'm going to hop out of here. And I'm actually going to share something else. Okay. I'm actually going to do, if I can find it. Okay. So there's two ways to build in Tableau. You can, I'm using Tableau Public, so this isn't the full version of Tableau in that you're limited on your data connections. If you have the full version of Tableau, you can connect to pretty much anything. They have dozens and dozens of native connections. They're introducing more with each new release, which happens quarterly. But just with public,
hold on. I did think I just heard you say, I just wanted to clarify. So is this a free version?
This is a free version.
Free version. So if we wanted to explore Tableau,
yes,
there is a way to do that.
Yes, and you don't have to download the app. You can author directly in Tableau Public online.
Okay, nice.
So I can demo that as well. These are just a few quick visualizations that I'd already made, and I open them. Here we go. It's pretty fast. It's not too bad. So this is one of the free data files that you can pick up pretty much anywhere. I think this one might be from Kaggle. But one of the integrations you can use with mapping is Mapbox. So if you're a Mapbox user and like to play with maps, you can bring that in as well. But this is just a real quick demonstration that I did for one of the user groups on using a month parameter. And so I took two separate data files and I basically tied them together with date. And I can change the date. And it changes the map. And it changes my Superstore sales, which has nothing to do with birth rates, but it was two files that I could grab really quickly and have some dates put in there. So Superstore, if you're a Tableau user, you know this, but Superstore is kind of synonymous with Tableau because when you get, when you buy a Tableau desktop version, you get Superstore. And Superstore is like your ultimate demo dashboarding data file to play with. It's kind of fun. They actually update it every year with more fake data for us to play with. But everybody's using Superstore in their demos if they can't use their own data, which is nice because our data has PII in it. We've got customer data. We can't be out showing everybody's results everywhere. So this is how we get around it by using Superstore. Also, Data World has a lot of free data that you can use. Government has, depending on what state you're in, but federal government has a lot of free data. Some states make their data available. And there's a few other data sets you can get your hands on as well. Tableau Public has some actually online that you can download, and that's where this one came from. Which I will switch over. I wonder if I can just do this. Aha. Tableau Public. Okay. So Tableau Public has a gallery online, and we have this viz of the day, and you can nominate a viz, like you see one in your, just kind of browsing around, looking at different things that you would like to see. You can vote on
We're
a
still
viz.
seeing your map, by the way, if that's...
Oh, you're seeing my map still?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hold on, let me go back and select this one. Ah, I'm used to Teams. I can just switch views and pop around. Hold on, there we go. There's the map. We don't want that. We want this one. Okay. And share. Alrighty then. Okay. So Tableau Public, you can go in and browse through. They have a gallery, but if you see a viz that you want to nominate for viz of the day, you can nominate one. And then they'll go through all the nominations and they'll pick a viz of the day. And I'm not exactly sure who gets to vote on the viz of the day, but they're always pretty fantastic. It's either a great story or it's just beautifully made and it's just a work of art. But just lots of subjects out there, a lot of different things you may not even think would, you would even think of looking at that data, but it's just really interesting. Just what everybody picks and chooses to build a viz on, just to build a viz. I mean, this has nothing to
Those
do
are just a
with
little bit nicer than a Salesforce report.
just a little bit, maybe.
Just a little bit, yeah. That looks great.
But you can embed Tableau within Salesforce. If you have Tableau deployed with Tableau Online or with an on-prem Tableau server, you can embed into Salesforce your vizzes. So Salesforce data comes into Tableau. Of course, it's curated before it gets in there. The viz is made, and then it can actually live in Salesforce. And then you can use the security within your Salesforce deployment to limit who can and cannot see the data displayed in that Tableau viz. So there's some cross functionality there with security on the back end, as far as between being a Salesforce administrator and a Tableau server administrator. You can tie things down and use, I think you can use SSO with that, if I remember correctly. I admin an online server, but I'm only using it with one company, so I don't have all the other difficult things like bringing Salesforce and Tableau together, but it can be done. It can be done. And from what I hear, when you deploy it like that, it's pretty awesome. So there's a lot of different subjects in here that you can look at. I'm going to pop over to my profile. Whoops, if I can get around. There we go. And so this is my personal profile. I just have a few things in here, but this is brand new. So if you want to play around with Tableau Public and you don't necessarily want to download the app to your computer, or maybe you have a work laptop and you don't want to install any kind of apps or software on that, you can make your viz right here online. You just click on Create a Viz, and it looks just like Tableau Public did. Oops. I've got to grab a file real quick. I was practicing earlier, so we'll see how this goes. So you just load your data. And once you have your data loaded, and even if you're using a Salesforce deployment and you connect to your Salesforce server, you'll see all of your Salesforce tables right here. Everything you have permission to see will show up in this, under the Sheets column. And you literally drag and drop. And if you want to see what it looks like, to make sure you grab the right thing, because sometimes things are named a little bit too similarly, you can get a little preview. Okay, so I want to see what the cast is for these titles. So that little orange line is what we call a noodle. So we talk about all our noodles. And what Tableau is doing there is creating a relationship, but not a join. You can create joins, but uh, the relationship, what it does is it looks for similar fields and sets up that relationship for you. You can edit it to something else if you would like to. You don't have to stick with what's already there. And you can create a calculation. So if you need to look for something, a piece of a field that's in this data set, maybe you have a field that has an ID, but you only need part of that ID, you can create a calculation on this side that'll tag that ID so that you can still make your connection. So it's pretty flexible. I've actually put in SQL code for some of mine to narrow the data down and get what I need. You can also do, oh, not with this one, darn it. You can also create a custom SQL connection. So you can narrow your fields down, narrow your data set down by date or by some other field so that you're not getting all the records at once if you don't need all the records at once. You can also union your data sets, which I will show you this, but it'll look weird. It made that little orange box underneath next Netflix titles. That means I'm unioning my data, or I'm bringing in, if you have Excel spreadsheets where every Excel spreadsheet is the same and you don't want to make a relationship, you want to have them all stacked on top of each other, you create a union and you just drop it in there and it'll add it to your file and just make your file longer. Got my cast in here. Let's see, throw in, whoops, category. I double clicked on it and it threw the category in there for me. And we can throw countries. And whoops, directors. And you just drag and drop. Whoops, almost made another union. Now it does depend where you drag and drop it. As you notice, my noodle is hopping around. I want everything connected to the Netflix titles. And once I'm satisfied with my data model here, then I can just jump into my sheet and start building a viz. As you notice, each data set has a little folder that it made. You can see each one. I can expand and contract it. I can change how my view looks. I can group by folder, which it makes little folders. So it'll always put your dimensions on top and your measures on the bottom when you have it by folder. But for this, we're going to go back to the data source by table because it's a little bit clearer because you can see where things are coming from. So I want to take my title. Let's see. I'm going to pull my cast out here. And maybe I want to see the number of titles per actor or actress. So I can pull out the count. And it gives me the count right next to it. If I want to make a bar chart, I can use show me over here. And click on the bar chart. Boom, I've got a bar chart. And I can go onto my label and I can say show mark labels. And that will show me the number of films for each actor or actress. And I can take this count, and if I hold down Control, I can kind of make a copy of that and drop it on color. Come up here and sort. Oh, hold on. Change my view. I have to keep moving my little zoom box here. I can sort this. Ah, hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay. I was missing my little sort button. Um, and this is why I don't do the live demos, because I get confused and I miss things. But I can sort by the number of films. And as you notice, it gets lighter because I did it by color. Or I can come over here and sort by cast member alphabetically. And I can nest my sort too. If I have more than one category here, I can also nest my sort, which puts one sorting category inside of another sorting category. I can change and decide, oh, maybe I want to do size and color. Hold down Control, drop it on size, and it changes the size of my bars, the width. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to customize your visualization. Bar charts, we can go over here and decide, oh, maybe I want circles. So we'll change them to circles, which doesn't tell you, it's not as meaningful. It doesn't really tell you anything. If you love bubble charts, you can do bubble charts. That's kind of crazy looking, but you can do bubble charts. Or if you like the Excel grid, you can go back to the Excel grid and you can Excel grid all day long if you want to. Surprisingly, of all the different visualizations I make, I usually end up making at least one or two of these in every dashboard set because people love Excel still. So we just got to give them what they want sometimes and show them some Excel. The other thing you can do is there are some shapes in here. And right now everybody's got a circle, but I can go into shape and I can change that. Or if I want to assign shape by something else, say what category they're listed in. I might get a bunch of asterisks. Nope. Okay, let's see if I can make this fit here. Width. Try to spread these out a little bit, but it might not let me. But it has a different shape for each type of movie. And you see my tooltip popping up, and it tells you who the cast member is, the number of titles, and the category that they're listed under. You can also, if you have shapes that you want to use that are different than these shapes. Hello. Uh-oh. Oh no. Well, maybe I can't do everything I want to do here. In Tableau Desktop, I can put in custom shapes and I can change the shape set, which you basically add shape sets in your Tableau directory file on your computer. And you can do some custom shapes, which is kind of cool. If you do anything with weather prediction, like if you're an HVAC company, insurance company, and you're trying to do underwriting or predict things by using weather, you can put weather icons in there. I've used logos for different companies to show their locations on a map. I have some right now that are actually info buttons, where I add info buttons to the dashboard, and it's actually its own sheet. It's just like a sheet like this, but it's an info button that I made in PowerPoint of all things. And I put it up there and I can create a custom tooltip. And here you can put whatever you want in these boxes. It is very flexible. So you just type in.
So you referred to this kind of an art form, and it's not just about getting the data onto the form, which is what a lot of times our Salesforce reports are. It's just getting data. This is about presenting it in a way that tells its story a lot cleaner. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
it's
there's no way to. I mean, I'm just playing with this on the surface, throwing different
mhm,
things in a visualization to see what looks right. But each piece on a dashboard is a sheet within your workbook. So you really, we do spend a lot of time not only sketching out the data model, because we have to know what we want that data to look like before we bring it into Tableau, but also sketching out what we want our dashboard to look like. Everything from what shapes are we going to use? What are we going to put on the map? Do we want to use color gradients in our bar charts or not? Are we going to change things by size or shape? What do we want in our tooltips? Are we going to need info buttons? All of that gets talked out and put on a whiteboard before we start fizzing around. Um, or you can just be like me and just throw stuff in here and play with it until you find something you like. Um, but I can show you some of the dashboards that I've already made, and you can save a copy here, or you can don't save it. The one caveat that I will tell you as you're pulling data into public, and this is why you should never use your company data, is that it's public. It is very public. Anybody can find your viz. So all you need to do is type in the right combination of things that may bring your viz up to the top of the search, and someone might see your company data. So if you want, if if you want to do this for your company and use Tableau for your company, you'll need to invest in a creator license or a Tableau desktop, because it's the only way you can keep your data within your company. If you go public, it is public. It is very public. And the saying they have with public when we feature public offers or when we talk about Tableau public at the Tableau conference is do it in public. And there's actually a t-shirt that says do it in public, Tableau public on it. So I'm just going to leave that out there. Do with it what you want. But just remember, if you don't want to be on the front page of the newspaper, don't use your company data in Tableau public, because yeah, it's going to be out there. This one took a long time for me to make. I did RAGBRAI a few years ago. It was my first time doing it. And I noticed that my heart rate charts at the end of the day reminded me of the elevation charts. And initially what I was trying to do was map, and this isn't a storyboard, was to map my heart rate against the elevation chart. But once I got all the data pulled out, I realized that I really needed to track it by where I was during the day. And well, the elevation map didn't quite work out with that. So I tried to get my my GPS data off my phone so I could see kind of where I was going across the state at any given time, which kind of worked, except that when you're out in rural Iowa riding your bike, sometimes you don't have GPS data. So there were gaps, but I compromised and took my heart rate trend, made it look like the elevation map above a little bit for each day of RAGBRAI. And it took me a long time to build this and make it efficient, because there are a lot of graphics in here, especially this first page. When I first built this, it literally took 5 minutes to load because there was so much graphic content. So I used Canva to build a lot of my graphic elements out. So I had one graphic element as opposed to a dozen on each page. And it really helps things load a lot faster. But it's just trying to tell the story as we, rode across Iowa. Was I having a heart attack? Was I climbing? Was I going on a descent? Clearly, I went downhill here somewhere. But it does kind of look like an elevation map. But it was kind of fun as I thought this through and built all the elements and put it together, just to kind of tell a story about my journey across Iowa on a bicycle. And it was a lot of fun. If you haven't done RAGBRAI, if you like to ride, hey, go try it. It's a lot of fun. But It took me probably a couple weeks to build this out and get it how I wanted it to look. Um, the other thing you need to consider is making sure that you give props to everybody who contributed. I pulled a lot of stuff off of RagBri for this, so I made sure that I gave them credit wherever I could on here. And also, if someone else borrows my viz and copies it into their public site, it gives me credit. It'll basically say this title on it and that I'm the one who built it. That's something that they've added in the last 6 months because there was a growing problem with people taking someone else's biz and repurposing it as their own and saying it was theirs when it wasn't. And it was really causing a lot of distress in the Tableau community that was happening because there's a lot of people building vizzes and building art literally for some of them, and their vizzes were being stolen. And so it's one way to protect against that. So we know who to give credit to when we build a viz. I'm going to pop over here and do a quick search in the gallery. And I forgot about this set of vizzes when I searched for it. But something as fun as popcorn. I love popcorn. And I had forgotten about this Sports Viz Sunday popcorn thing until I pulled it up. And Stephen Curry. I forgot that Stephen Curry ranks popcorn everywhere he plays. And so people grabbed a hold of this data set and just went crazy with it. There's a lot of really, really cool popcorn vizzes out here. Everything with his face on the map. It's a custom shape, putting his face on the map. The different things that he uses to judge the popcorn by, even making little tiny popcorns out of, the different ratings he gives them. So it all looks like a little piece of popcorn. And this is where the art comes in. And each one of these little petals on the popcorn, there's probably a lot of trigonometry behind that to make that happen. There's a lot of calculations going on behind it, but it's really fun when you see it and how it's put together. I can't believe.
So do you stop in at that popcorn place there in East Village?
Right.
Right.
I found it just this week, so
yes, it's good. Very good.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Their ice cream is very good too. Just FYI.
Oh, they have ice cream too?
They do, yes.
I probably didn't need to know that because I've been going to Molly's for homemade ice cream.
Well, it's not. I don't know if it's homemade. I'm not sure how they do that, but yeah, you'll have to check that out.
All ice cream is good.
All yes.
Ice cream is good, especially when it's hot outside. But yeah, there's just anything you want to search for, you can search for and find a viz on it. I just grabbed popcorn because I had popcorn on my brain, and there's another one, so I can get it to open. This one is really visual, has a lot of graphics behind it. But I mean, it's just amazing how they've done this. This one, the graphic is one piece of it, but that probably sits behind the dashboard. But as I hover over each one of these, you can see it changes over where the web graph is. So each one of these has been made, has been placed in a circle, each one of these little logos. So it's a custom shape. And when you hover over that shape, it's connected to what's going on over here. Also a custom shape. So, I mean, sky's the limit. I mean, anything that you can dream, you can probably do in Tableau, popcorn related or otherwise. If there's movies that you like, there's a lot of music visualizations out here, but there's also one on, let me see. I mean, you can just play forever. And sometimes if I get stumped with a viz and I'm having trouble designing, I will come out here and just poke around until I find something that I go, oh, hey, I could maybe use that. And sometimes it's Seinfeld, and sometimes it's the Beatles, and sometimes it's popcorn. But there's a lot of ways to just get inspired and build new things out here. The Seinfeld viz, I'm trying to think whose it was. Is it Pooja's? They took their Seinfeld um, dashboard and actually published all the different vizzes in it, and it's a book that you can buy.
Oh, wow.
On visualizing Seinfeld, and it's actually just very brilliant how they did it. But it's just a lot of fun. A lot of fun when people come out here and people in the community just build amazing things, and I always find it inspiring, especially when I'm just having a hard time designing something in Tableau.
Anybody have any specific questions or anything that? Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to ask if anybody had questions or.
Anybody using Tableau?
Yeah, we use it at American Equity.
Are your graphics as pretty as what those were?
No, they're not. We do embed them in Salesforce, and that's pretty awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I had a client at one time that I was building Tableau visualizations for them, and they were wondering if there was a way to embed it in their Salesforce deployment. And at the time, you could only do it from on-prem server, so we weren't able to make that happen for them. But I was so excited that it was a possibility, even though we couldn't do it, because it helped them dream a little bit bigger about their visualizations and what we could do with them. So that was very exciting to even have that possibility.
Oh, it's really easy on the Salesforce side to make it happen, because you just go out to the App Exchange and download the LWC that they have for it, and then pop it on your Lightning page. So it's very simple.
Matt had a question in the chat for you. If someone was getting into Tableau from scratch, how long would you expect before they could learn to make fairly basic viz?
Once you start playing with Tableau, it's fairly intuitive. I think that what people have the hardest part with is filtering and level of detail. And level of detail is a whole presentation on its own. It can get really complicated, and you can build the most amazing dashboard, and level of detail calculations will come up and smack you in the face every time sometimes, and you'll have filters not working and data not matching, and it's probably level of detail. But in general, once you start playing with Tableau from scratch, if you're just learning it, definitely sketch out what you want on your dashboard first, because that will help you step through the different pieces of that visualization that you want to build. So maybe you want your Excel spreadsheet. Maybe you want what we call big ass numbers, or a band at the top. They're just big blocks with big numbers at the top. Maybe you want a bar chart. Maybe you want a pie chart. Maybe you want to have interactivity for filtering. Have that all planned out before you start building, and that will help you a lot. And then you just build one piece at a time.
And I assume that some of those fancy drawings and things that you were able to show for visualizations, you don't have to be that fancy every time.
Oh, no.
I mean, so those are just kind of some of the, when you talk about the art form of this, really get into play. But I would, well, maybe I shouldn't suspect this, but is it safe to assume that in a business environment that a lot of the day-to-day charts and things that might be used would not go to that level of extent from a visualization? Or
yeah, I have yet to find where I'm going to use a radial chart on somebody's dashboard.
Yeah.
There are times I might go, oh, this would be so cool, but no, it'll be so confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also try to avoid pie charts as much as possible unless I'm showing 2 or 3 categories. So if it's not gender or marital status or something that's just a very few categories, I'm probably not going to even let you talk to me about putting a pie chart on your dashboard. But there are other ways to break data down so that we can show those wonderful things, but I try to stay away from pie charts as much as possible. There's always better ways to display your data in categories.
Interesting. Any other questions from anybody?
And you can reach out to me at any time. So
we're just exploring the Tableau CRM that was formerly named Einstein Analytics. So it looks a little different than that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, or does any of the community groups talk about that product, or is that more on the Salesforce side?
I think that one's more on the Salesforce side, as far as I know. But there is a lot of crossover sometimes between Tableau and some of the other visualization pieces, but they're all a little bit different. So that one is definitely more on the Salesforce side.
Okay.
Cool. Anyone else? All right, Michelle, thank you. I really do appreciate you joining us. It sounds like you'll share that deck and we can put it up in the community. That would have all the links to it then to connect with you or to connect with the Tableau user group.
Yep.
If they choose to.
Great.
Very
Well, thanks
nice.
for having me, guys.
That's awesome. Thank you.